Hi there, welcome to my gaming vlogs. I have been sharing with you all over the last videos a bit of my racing and flight simulator setup. In this video, I will show and talk a little bit about my entire setup. I have been building it for the last 10 years and it ended up being quite an interesting part of this hobby. I will share with you my project and some of the solutions I had to design and craft myself to make it work. Different from most of the other racing simulators, I have designed mine to focus on a full immersion experience and made it quite unique. Sometimes I have the impression that I spend way more time building and updating the simulator than playing with it. But still was a lot of fun to do it, so it was all worth it. In this video, I will show my setup in two ways. I made a little 3D project at the Fusion 360 containing the setup, which will help me to display some of the details about it. All the resources I used to create the 3D mod of the setup are listed in the video's comments, in case you are interested in any of them. And of course, I will also show some real footage of the current implementation of the setup. So again, if you like this type of video, please share it with other people. Like it and leave a comment. It really helps the channel and allows me to bring more of this type of video online. I have been using racing and flighting simulators for a while now, and my setup has seen different configurations over the last 10 years. I started with a very simple foldable setup, a Playseat Challenger, that was perfect for my small apartment at the time. Once I got more space, I moved to a full aluminum base setup, which increased its sturdiness and allowed me to update it when necessary. My entire setup is based on a SimLab GT1 Evo cockpit, made of extruded aluminum profiles. This cockpit is great, it is super solid, durable and modular, allowing a large variety of updates and upgrades. An important part of the setup is the seat. And after some years of using the Playseat Challenger, I wanted something more comfortable and that would give me a proper racing position. I got a B-Marco Hammer seat. It is a super comfortable bucket seat. It has a great size, a fantastic feeling, and a very comfortable racing position. I have been using it now for the last 6 years and I truly recommend it. I like my seat in a GT position, meaning the pilot drives the car in an almost vertical way, as it allows me to run a Formula car, GT cars, and even rally cars. The Formula position seems to be quite awesome to drive in a Formula car, but it maybe is not so comfortable on a rally car, for example, or when playing a flight simulator. The wheel motor attaches itself directly to the cockpit, making it super sturdy and solid. I'm using a Fanatec Podium DD1 wheel, which is a powerful direct drive wheel, meaning that I can feel the slightest variation of the asphalt while driving, which of course increases my consistency, but also my fun when driving. I'm using a set of Fanatec Club Sport pedals V3. They are super solid, heavy, and configurable. The gas and brake pedals have embedded vibration systems, which is super helpful when representing wheel spins, ABS activation, and having braking locks. Attached to the wheel support bar, I have a Fanatec shifter and a Fanatec handbrake. These devices are very well made, extremely precise, and both have a great realistic feeling when used. Using a handbrake on rally simulators makes a big difference in both immersions, but also on driving techniques. On simcades, such as Forza Horizon 5, using the handbrake to make tight off-road turns is just a blast. The Fanatec shifter has two functions. It acts as an H-pattern shifter, which is great when running on old racing cars such as the 1970s Formula 1 cars. You can also adjust it and use it as a sequential gear shifter, which works very well on some modern racing series, such as the Brazilian stock cars. To allow this setup to be used as a flight simulator, I installed 3 specific pieces of equipment on it. A Thrustmaster Warthog throttle on the left side of the seat, supported by an aluminum profile attached to the back of the cockpit. A flying stick, also from the Thrustmaster Warthog series, on the same height as the throttle, but positioned on the right of the seat. And a Thrustmaster rudder positioned between the seat and the racing pedals tray. I used Flight Simulator mostly to play Elite Dangerous, which is receiving an amazing update now in 2024, so do not miss it. When paired with a VR headset, using the flight controls really pushed me to the depths of space. Now comes the fun part, the solutions for the increased immersion when playing. Most of these solutions include a lot of do-it-yourself characteristics, which makes them super nice to develop and to be included in the simulator itself. I will start with the wind simulator attached directly to the side of the racing wheel. It is a quite simple project that adds a lot in terms of immersion when driving. In my case, I use 2 computer fans controlled by an Arduino that are turned on and turned off depending on the car's speed. The entire setup was 3D printed to create a specific shape that increases the effect of the wind. The Arduino sits on a closed box, also 3D printed. To increment the physical immersion of the setup, I added 2 bass shakers to the cockpit, one on the left and one on the right. They are activated once the left or right wheels of the car hit a curb or pass through an asphalt imperfection. It is amazing how much this small change in the setup increases the immersion effect, especially in creating better racing habits around known tracks. The bass shakers are controlled by a small amplifier connected directly to my PC. And finally, the last immersion equipment I attached to the setup was a G-force simulator. It uses a set of servo motors to pull and release the seatbelts when on heavy braking or acceleration. I made an entire video about it recently, so you can check it all in details. It's not a game. I have 2 display solutions that I use in this setup. First is a 4K 50-inch screen that sits just behind the Fanatec podium wheel. Having such a large screen allows me to configure the games and the simulators directly on the cockpit, and being a 4K screen gives me a great visuals when driving or flying into space. But when the simulators have support for it, nothing gets better than using a virtual reality headset. I'm using a MetaQuest 3, and by far this is my favorite way of playing these games and simulators. If you want to know a little bit more about my virtual reality setup and want to hear about the history of racing simulators, you can check a video that was released recently here in the channel. To create a fully immersive experience when using the simulator, I added a 5.1 surround system using a Logitech Z607. When racing or when exploring space, it is amazing to have the sound coming from all over the place. When I want to have radio communication, or when it's too late to use the surround system, I rely on a SteelSeries Architects Nova wireless headset, which includes a virtual surround system that is almost as good as the real thing. Finally, I added a Philips Hue light strip on the back of the simulator that allows me to control it dynamically. Besides the practical aspects of illuminating the area, the light really helps in setting up the mood, especially during intense space battles. All my previous simulators were always sitting in my living room or my gaming room and looked really cool and nice there. But I always felt that they were missing one aspect, a full immersion experience. That is why, when I moved to the current place I'm living, I decided to make things a little bit different. The racing simulator would be sitting inside a specific area, with controlled illumination, and separated from the world outside of it. I did this by creating an enclosed space with the help of some shelves. On top of it, to complement the immersion feeling, I designed and worked on a small wooden structure that acts as a support for some lightweight wooden panels. These panels close perfectly the environment and allow me to remove them very easily for simulator maintenance, for example. To help even more with the immersion and allow me to have full control about the simulator from inside the enclosed space, I added an articulated keyboard and mouse tray, so I do not have to get out of here to control the computer. I also added an Alexa Echo Dot that controls the LED light strip and the power plugs of the devices connected to the cockpit. This way, I have a control of what is on and off, and I can do it using the full power of voice commands, as we should all do in the 21st century. To have full control of what is connected to the computer and to avoid having 20 devices connected at the same time, I made a 3D printed control box that holds 2 USB-C hubs, a PC performance and temperature screen, and the bass shakers amplifiers. For convenience, I added a support to connect a tablet under the control box that I can use to run an additional screen or specific apps when racing. To complement the mood, I printed some of the ships I use in the Elite Dangerous games and made a little display besides the cockpit. It looks really cool. So, what do you all think about this setup? Please let me know in the comments. I really like it, and I see that there are many ways to improve it, which is a great feeling to have. Alright everyone, that's it for me today. Thank you very much, and see you all in the next video.